Hello everyone. Today we are going to bake a very delicious Easter bread. So the Easter bread is made with yeast dough. If you have never worked with yeast dough, it's great that you found my video. Yeast dough is very easy to prepare. You just need to know a few key points. And today I will share it with you. Today we will cook with a special touch and twist. An interesting recipe. And instead of regular molds, we will use disposable cups. I found this idea on the internet. I will be using cups for the first time today, but you can use regular molds instead of cups. We will experiment a little today. Let's start the preparation with the starter. So let's prepare the starter. In a small container, you can even use a small bowl. We add the yeast. I take a full teaspoon. That's about 5 grams. Now, 2 to 3 tablespoons of flour from the total amount. Here's how much I measured. Yes, this much, 2 to 3 tablespoons here. Now, mix everything so that the yeast blends with the flour, and add a little milk to achieve a dough consistency similar to that of pancakes, and a little more, like this. Now cover it all with a lid or plastic wrap and place it somewhere warm. For example, you can leave it on a sunny windowsill, and in just about 20 minutes, the starter will begin to work. You will confirm that your yeast is active, and we will continue. So we take the flour from the total amount of flour and add the milk from the total amount of milk. The recipe calls for a total of 200 milliliters of milk. We take some of this for the starter. While the starter is rising, we'll prepare the milk. The remaining milk after the starter is placed in a pot that can be put on the stove. Add 2 teaspoons of honey here. I wrote 2, but as you can see, mine has crystallized. So I'm taking a large spoonful. If yours is liquid, 2 teaspoons will be enough. And also, now we add black tea. Take black tea without additives, without flavors, just plain black tea. So, as soon as the milk is warmed up, we will, so to speak, slightly brew the tea in the milk. And vanilla. You can take a pinch of vanillin. You can take 20 grams of vanilla sugar, or pour a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Add whatever vanilla you have. I have a lot of different Easter bread recipes on my channel, with different proportions, different doughs, more moist, less moist. Such a great variety I have. Take a look. Try making a few options, but before the holiday, just to taste and choose the recipe you will make this year. Why? This year, I am offering recipes, a few new Easter bread recipes, with new, so to speak, nuances, with new proportions. And you can take some new ideas for yourself. Links to my favorite Easter breads I will leave at the end of the video. I add vanilla, sugar, and put it all on the heat. We wait for it to dissolve, the honey well. And the milk is almost starting to boil. It shouldn't actually boil, but those first bubbles should appear, and then we turn it off. The milk is already starting to steam now. Just another minute, and it will start to boil. Right? We add a tea bag here. So, look, you can take your favorite black tea. The main thing is that it should be without additives. Too much tea doesn't need to be brewed either. I'll show you now at what point to remove the tea bag. So here's the start. Even you see I held it a little too long. It started to bubble quite a lot. It should have been removed a bit earlier. Well, okay, so look, we stir it and remove the bag. We need it. A slight aroma of black tea with honey. You see, such a beautiful caramel color is achieved. First, a very beautiful caramel color. It smells amazing. And now all of this needs to be cooled down. Just while the dough is rising, the milk needs to be cooled so that it is either at room temperature or just barely warm. It's better if you're not completely sure if it has cooled down, to let it sit there for half an hour and cool down completely. Because yeast doesn't like a hot environment, so they don't get overheated and can work. For the report, we take 3 eggs. This year, I also made Easter bread for you. We prepared it using yolks and made it with chamomile milk. It turned out so creamy, so delicious, just like the taste of childhood, as if it was really baked by grandma in childhood. So be sure to find this recipe and check it out. Add a pinch of salt to the eggs. We start beating without sugar for now until the mixture becomes fluffy and lightens in color. Look how the eggs have increased in volume. Now the sugar. So this recipe uses a small amount of sugar, only 50 grams. But firstly, we also added 2 teaspoons of honey for sweetness. For me, it turns out just right. But if you know you're a sweet tooth and always find sugar lacking, add a couple more tablespoons. But as for me, everything is fine here. But you decide for yourself. Maybe for someone, the sugar isn't sweet at all, and you might need not 50 grams of sugar, but 100. And so we beat the eggs with sugar. We got a fluffy, light mass like cream. We pre-soak the raisins in boiling water to let them steep. I very often recommend soaking dried fruits, raisins, in rum, cognac, or vodka for such Easter dough. So in this particular recipe, if you want to add and soak dried fruits in alcohol, then only vodka. Why? Well, firstly, vodka provides good rising and porosity. And if you add rum or cognac, it will overpower the taste of the milk that we prepared. So keep that in mind. And also, regarding the dough that we are about to make, well, what other aromas can be added to the milk with tea to enhance the flavor? Orange will enhance the flavor well. Not lemon, but specifically orange. Grate the zest of 1 large orange or buy it already grated and dried. By the way, I really like it. It's very aromatic. And it's sold in packets now. And also, you can add any Christmas spices if you wish, but then it will be some kind of Christmas Easter. Therefore, I recommend adding another spice that will enhance the flavor of the dough and make it spicy. Today I will be using ground cardamom. Just a pinch will make the dough so flavorful. Try it. Here into the milk, which has cooled down, I add the zest. And I add the cardamom. I have it ground. I'll show you how much I add, but I love cardamom. Look like this. We dissolve all of this in the milk so that it mixes well, like this. If you are going to heat orange and lemon zest in milk, but I don't recommend it. Why? Because later it will all heat up in the dough, and the aroma will be amazing. Well, you definitely need to taste it. Listen, it's very tasty. The pasha will be excellent. That's it. Now we can gather all the dough. Look, the starter has risen, it's very porous. Look. So, today is probably a little cooler than usual for me over the past few weeks. And the starter stood for about 40 minutes, can you imagine? So, if you also have to wait a long time, if it's cool at your place too, like it was for me, wait until the starter begins to work well like this. Now pour in the milk, it should be koa-ooled, then the beaten eggs with sugar and soft butter. The recipe here calls for only 50 grams. Usually much more is added to Easter dough, but here just a little like this. Now wash your hands or put on gloves. And with your hand, mix all the ingredients well. The starter with the eggs, butter, basically everything we've put in here. If you have a large kitchen mixer, you can simply use it to do all this. But this kind of Easter baking really loves hands. And it's probably a kind of soulful, special state when we prepare Easter for our whole family, for our loved ones, for our dear ones. And with what mood will you be preparing it? And these hands that knead the dough, there's something very delicate, mysterious about it. And that's why it's better to do it by hand, not with a mixer. We add the flour here and knead. The recipe calls for a total of 300 grams of flour. Mix it well like this. But I look at the dough. And from experience, I can tell you that something like this, I would add another spoonful. Maybe the flour, is just a little different. For some, it might turn out like mine, where you need to add just a little more spoonful. The recipe calls for a total of 300 grams of flour. So follow the recipe. But since flour varies, I'll show you what the dough should look like. Now, so you know exactly with your flour whether to add more or not. You see, the dough falls down very quickly. It should be a bit denser. I'll add literally 2 more tablespoons. It depends on the flour. And no one can tell you here. Sometimes even the same manufacturer has slightly different flour. And you need to look at the dough. There. Now it's good. It's a bit denser. It still stretches, but it's denser. That's it. We mix it in. And like this, knead the dough by hand in the container for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's elastic, soft, and sticky like this. Continue mixing like this. When the dough is well kneaded, it remains sticky, but it's very elastic. And you can see that it's very uniform. Add the raisins here. I drained the raisins in a colander and squeezed them well to remove excess moisture. And now add it to the dough. Now mix with the raisins for another 5 minutes. Why 5? The longer you knead the dough, the better it will be. Now gather all the dough into the center of the bowl, like this, into the middle of the bowl. Completely remove the gloves, we don't need them anymore. Use a silicone spatula to go around the sides of the form, like this. And all the dough goes inside, right? Like this, to create a cleaner edge. Cover everything with plastic wrap. Tie like this, and place it in a warm place for an hour to an hour and a half so the dough rises well. The dough should rise very well. If it's cool at home, it might take 2 to 2.5 hours. Place it either in a warm windowsill or turn on the oven and open the door. The oven should be at about 50 degrees. Place the dough on a board like this, right above the door, so it can rise. Look how well the dough has risen. It's really tall and very quickly. So it rose for about 2 hours, about an hour and 40 minutes or so, an hour and 45. Now, the table where we will shape the Easter bread, we grease with vegetable oil. It's a must. We also grease our hands with vegetable oil and transfer the dough onto the table. The dough turns out very delicate. It's so porous, so lightweight. It really is sticky to the hands, so make sure to grease them. Your hands with oil. You won't be able to work without oil. Now, we divide the dough according to the number of cups. It should be that the dough in the cup is a little more than half. So we take a piece of dough, fold it into a circle, as we usually do, and place it in the cup. The dough should fill approximately half of the cup. Look, the dough rises very well. Don't put too much in. This is how I divide it. See, we distribute it like this. Look, my cups are 240 milliliters. We cover all the prepared cakes with a towel and let them rest so they can rise. The higher they rise during proofing, the better. The cakes have risen nicely. They will also rise a bit more in the oven. So into a preheated oven at 180 degrees. They bake for about 20 minutes. Check with a wooden stick to ensure there's no wet dough. So look, in 20 minutes the cake is fully baked. I took out the entire tray. Do not remove them from the cups. Leave them like this until they are completely cool, which should take at least a few hours. It's already evening for me, so I'll leave them until morning. I also want to show I checked with a wooden stick to see if there was any wet dough. See? The stick should come out completely dry. Look at how fluffy the tops turn out. Where there's a little more dough, you can see right here, there's a really big top that formed. Yeah, well, overall, they look very perfect, huh? You can gift these portion-sized cakes and make such gifts for acquaintances, loved ones, and friends. So what now? Let them cool down. Then we'll decorate. The cakes come out very easily. We take scissors and simply cut them. But you can also press on the bag, and the bag also works well. You just press like this, and it comes out nicely. Comes out. Look how easily they come off. Well, I recommend storing the Easter cakes right in these bags. Why in bags? In cups, why? Because they will stay soft longer. Look, this is the kind of Easter cake you get. Neat, beautiful. This is how they come out. We decorate the top of the Easter cakes with protein. Glaze. For 1 egg white, 1.5 tablespoons of sugar are whipped and used for decoration. Or prepare any glaze to your taste. To keep the Easter cakes soft longer, do not remove the cups and pack them in bags. This way they retain moisture longer and will stay soft. And before eating, you can decorate them with protein glaze or decorate them immediately. Wait for the glaze to set a little in a couple of hours. And then pack them in bags, yeah? Easter cakes should be decorated either on the second day, or you can bake the glaze in the oven. Both ways are possible. And you know what else? They make not only protein, glaze pea, but they take cream cheese and whip it and also decorate the top of the Easter cakes. It turns out very tasty with a creamy cottage cheese flavor. So let's try how the Easter cakes turned out. Look, a great option for such small Easter cakes. I find them so cute. So look, it is very, very soft, really soft. Yesterday I cut one while it was still hot, simply exquisite. It smells like delicious dough and citrus. So let's try it. Well, the dough is just unreal, so porous. I think it's made up of tiny holes. Look, the whole Easter cake is like it's made of bubbles. Do you see the bubbles, the bubbles? Such a porous dough. It's very tender, it's tasty, aromatic and moist. It smells very nicely of citrus, a pleasant scent. So what did the black tea give us? Let's try the dough itself first. Listen. Indeed, there is a caramel flavor. Especially if you taste it with your eyes closed, there is the caramel taste. Very interesting, very tasty. I like it. Why not? I just expected the dough to be a little darker and more of a caramel color. Maybe I should have brewed more, so to speak, tea in the milk itself. Then maybe it would have been, and the dough itself would have taken on more of a shade. Perhaps you do it this way, whoever you are, write to me. Next time, I'll brew a little more. Listen, this is a very tasty Easter, very. So, it's really great that you can bake such little Easter cakes with children, dye eggs, and make it for all your relatives. Such presents, a small Easter cake and a few dyed eggs, especially if you find quail eggs, such mini gifts. The kids can make gifts for their friends. Listen, it's very tasty, such a delicious little Easter cake. Try it and make it, and it will keep the kids busy. For some reason, my Nastya really loves baking, all these little figures and everything that's small and childlike. She saw yesterday that I was making them in cups. Mom, this is only for me, they're for kids. Subscribe to my channel, like, and share this video. Bye.